Welcome to The Week Ahead, a podcast brought to you by SBM Intelligence. I'm your host, Judy Gaya, and every Saturday we look at stories shaping our continent. First, conflicting reports emerged about Nigeria's federal government's financial status in the first quarter of 2024. We will examine what a massive budget deficit means for an already inflation-burdened country. Then, Nigeria's central bank has raised interest rates yet again. We'll look at the motivations behind this decision and its potential ripple effects on the economy. Finally, we move to look at Chad, where Mahamat Deby has been declared winner of the recent elections, solidifying his power grab. What could be the geopolitical effects of this move? Joining me to look at these stories is William Oke, an analyst at SBM Intelligence. Welcome, William. So, on to the first
Hello,
story.
Judy. Good morning.
Thank you. So we move to the first story where the federal government, through the Accountant General of the Federation, says it has generated 318 billion naira in the first quarter. This is a budget deficit of the actual revenue they intend to collect, which is 2.69 trillion. So, William, can you explain the difference between revenue collected, which the Accountant General said stood at 318.5 billion naira for the first quarter, and the revenue target, which is quoted at 2.69 trillion naira?
All right. So far, what the Accountant General has revealed is that Nigeria only collected 11% of its target revenue. Now, every since I became an analyst, every start of the year, once the president brings a new budget, the finance minister has to explain the details of the budget, where they have to borrow, and their revenue targets of the year. Now, the entire period Zainab Ahmed was, that's the former finance minister, was minister, Nigeria never hit our target. In fact, she was a bit too over optimistic compared to like the previous year. And that is one of the reasons why Nigeria has a very high debt service burden, because most of what we make is being used to service debt, and we're not even earning enough tax revenues because we're a poor country. So that's basically it.
Okay. So, what are some possible reasons for the government falling short of its revenue target? And were there any economic factors or policy changes that might have contributed to this?
Right now, Nigeria is not in a situation whereby we are being impacted by policy change. We are just in a situation whereby for the past, basically Obasanjo's era, he tried to stabilize the ship between linkage monetary and fiscal policy. But since Buhari administration came into power in 2015, that link between monetary and fiscal policy is broken. And what the Nigerian government is trying to do so far is that they're trying to outlive the chaos, in the sense that they think they can cover the cracks with revenue, that's with tax earnings.
Mm.
Instead of saying that, fine, let us have a link between monetary and fiscal policy. Once you get that, you can plan to realistic standards. So basically, the reason why we are not hitting is that there's no link between monetary and fiscal policy, and obviously our planning is all over the place.
Okay. What is the significance of this budget deficit, and will it affect government spending plans or lead to an austerity measure or measures?
Basically, Nigeria right now, we have been in a fiscal crisis since Buhari's era. So right now, it's just going to be business as usual until they run out of options. That's what I can tell you. Because for a country of 200 million people that is basically producing 5,000 megawatts and cannot even reach its revenue potential, it means that what's the problem here is no longer about revenue, like taking back, it's back to fiscal planning, fiscal and monetary planning all over the place. There's no link, and it's just going to be business as usual until the hammer drops.
Okay. So thank you for that insight on the
No problem.
issues surrounding the revenue generation. So move on to CBN raising interest rates again to 26.25%. So William, let's put this into perspective. Say I am a small business owner and I'm about to borrow money from a commercial bank to buy goods. How would the hike in interest rates affect how much I pay back?
All right. Now, if you're a business owner in Nigeria and you can even afford to get a bank loan, your case is better than 99% of others. Obviously, it will affect your paying back because a lot of people what takes us back to fiscal and monetary policy in the sense that it doesn't matter how Nigeria's economy is not robust, it's not a first world economy whereby you can have a direct link between interest rates and spending, interest rates and consumer spending and consumer behavior. It's completely delinked. That's why the Nigerian banking sector looks like it's completely delinked from reality. Because if you look at the earnings of Nigerian banks and FCMGs, you find out that Nigerian banks are very, very, very paper growth focused. So right now, it doesn't matter whether they increase it to 40% or 100%, it won't change much because most of the money is in the informal sector and they don't use the banks to raise credit. I
Hmm.
don't know if that makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
that does. So the CBN says the increase is an attempt to bring down inflation. Why then are businesses unhappy about the bank's current move?
The CBN has lost plot because it's basically a continuation of Emefiele's policy in the sense that, again, everything takes us back to fundamentals, break up between monetary policy and fiscal policy. Now, everyone is angry because imagine you're a business owner in Nigeria and you still have the luxury of taking money from banks, it means that you're working really, really hard.
Hmm.
And everyone can see that Nigeria's problem has nothing to do with interest rates because, in the sense that most of the banking or most of the money is exchanged informally. So it's just government looking for train whatever they have at the table and see what works. And to be fair, if we're still talking interest rates from a monetary policy perspective in Nigeria, it means that, like I said, the chaos will continue until the hammer drops.
Okay. Okay. So let's move to a related story where the central bank is cracking down on fintech companies. How would this hurt or help customers?
It won't do anything at all. It's basically remember during Buhari's time, they had the whole Abuki FX thing. Or even in fact, before Abuki FX, there was a time they went to Zone 4. Zone 4 is a place in Abuja where you have a lot of BDCs and they cut down the trees. Then they attacked Abuki FX. Then they attacked crypto. And now Tinubu's obviously government took over and they started with crypto and now they're going through BDCs. Like I said, they are running around circles. The most efficient way to put Nigeria on the right path towards dollar FX revenue right now is to increase crude oil production. And right now it's still below 1.2 million. Right now, Nigeria needs, for our size, we should be between somewhere between 4 to 5. And that requires sustained investment into Nigeria's crude oil hydrocarbon sector. And to get that, foreign investors have to see that the Nigerian government is serious. And so far, what they've seen is that we are not serious. Look at Angola getting a $6 billion deal for hydrocarbons. That obviously that deal can come to Nigeria because they want to see we are serious, and we've not shown them we are serious so far with our monetary policy.
Okay. So moving away from politics, moving away from the economy, we go over to politics and to Chad, where Mahamat Deby has just been confirmed as the winner of the disputed presidential elections. So, what are the main
Yeah.
concerns raised by international rights groups regarding the credibility of the recent elections in Chad?
All right, may I proceed?
Yes, you may.
All right, so now, if you look at the Chadian elections from a family perspective, that's the Derby family, it will
Mm,
be the seventh successive election that the Derby family is winning. Now, his dad, before his dad was killed by terrorists in 2021, that's Idris Derby Senior.
mm,
He had won six. And the reason why, and as I'm speaking right now, there are still French forces in Derby, in Chad rather, and armies are still there, but they have plans to pull out. Basically, in the fight against the Sahel, Chad is the most, what's the word here? Chad is the most competent Nigeria in the fight against terrorism in the Sahel. Chad is the most competent military in the Sahel. So when you see rights agencies saying, oh, they are talking about competencies, it's just they're just talking for talking's sake. Fundamentally, everyone is okay with the Deby family ruling Chad as long as the military remains very stable and very competent in fighting the election, in fighting terrorism in the Sahel. They're even way more competent than Nigeria at it. That's it.
Okay, so you're saying
Yeah.
that the international community truly doesn't mind. Um,
They don't care. If they don't care, they don't care. If
okay,
they care, the French forces will not be there.
okay. So you have answered the second question. So I'll go on to ask the last final question. Chad's political stability or instability affected its role in the regional fight against. Okay, how has Chad's political stability or instability affected its role in the regional fight against extremist groups in the Sahel?
I wouldn't say it did because if you look at now, Chad has been, yes, they've been getting closer to the Russians and they are still funded by the UAE through the RSF to fight terrorism in Chad. Secondly, I think there's over 50,000 Sudanese refugees in Chad. So from an African perspective, Chad is doing a very good job compared to its neighbors because one, they are very open to refugees from conflict region. Two, they're actively fighting this. So, and three, they also have Russian, French, and UAE backing. So I think the problem here is that there's a lot of factions in Chad right now, and because Russia has entered fully, everyone is trying to make a fuss about it. But in the end, what matters is fighting terrorism. And I think what Chad is doing, you can get help from anywhere you can get. So on that part, I actually trust them. It's just that the Russians are involved now, and everyone is trying to look for a story. There's no story really fundamentally. So that's
Okay.
it.
All right. So thank you so much, William, for shedding light on these issues um,
You're welcome.
and participating in today's episode. And to all our
You're
listeners,
welcome. You're welcome.
okay. And to all our listeners, this podcast is by SBM Intelligence. For deeper insights into our work, visit our website at www.sbmintel.com. And remember to connect with us on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn at SBM Intelligence. That's all for today. Thank you for listening.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.